trying to communicate with all these different distilleries on what's coming, what's going on. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. I just talked to the folks at Larrikin today. We will have a special thing for that podcast. So that just got handled today. So that's going to be pretty cool. So lots going on in the bourbon world. With Father's Day coming up, there's a lot of places. I saw like Augusta's doing a Father's Day event. High Banks is doing their Father's Day bottle, which is a double oaked, supposed to be phenomenal. I'll be trying that here soon. So a lot of that kind of thing going on, and then the 250th of America. There's a lot of those bottles going around. So there's a lot happening.
For the 250th, that July 2nd. Do we have someone booked the July 2nd?
Yep, M&O Spirits.
M&O Spirits. What about so July. So what about, and then it's Turner on that Tuesday, right? Yeah, I got to get.
I'd have to look at it.
So four branches with Greg is trying to come on. They just won a huge award with their newest one. So we're going to try and get them on probably at one point sometime in July would be my guess.
Oh, okay.
For the celebration. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Greg was commenting here, and we definitely need to do something with four branches. That'd be...
No, he's got it in the works. He gave I'm working on getting samples of that. We're working on it.
Definitely. That would be nice, and but we've got a full plate through mid-July. There's a lot of things, and there's a lot of cool things coming. And just like today, this is kind of neat to be able to do something a little off the beaten path of just a distillery, or even if it's an NDP. This is kind of unique and should be very fun.
Greg, that was all right. That was crazy. Hey, how's it going?
Yo, how's it going?
What's up, Bobby?
Hey, Bobby.
We made
it. Look, nice hat.
Thank you. I know. It says hello and goodbye at the same time. Aloha.
And it says it like 4 times.
I know. What? And it makes you think you've already been drinking too much. It says it once. What are you talking about? That's one.
Yeah.
Wait, you got both kids, and then Tiny's got none.
Yeah. No, because he didn't have one, so that's why I was trying to message you before. But it's okay.
Okay.
I had mine from when I never opened them from when I ordered them, so I didn't have a chance to get with him to give him any samples of mine, and we'll figure it out.
Is that two of the same lineup, or are they?
No, this one is the number 16. This is 17. Fred Minnick.
Okay, nice. So you got the best of the best.
Yeah. And, it's crazy when you open up the Fred Minnick when the darkness of the bottles is definitely different.
There's some darkness, yeah. I mean, you can always judge by color. How do you know everything wasn't just used barrels? It's fine. You don't know. But yeah, the best of the best was an interesting lineup because the government shutdown prevented us. The Minnick lineup was supposed to be December. But, there's all sorts of legal stuff that has to happen with the liquid to go from one spot to another. So we basically went to distilleries that had been in lineups when we didn't have a lot of members. And we said, hey, the transfer and bond is still good. Can we get you guys back in the lineup, but something maybe more special or something that you can only get if you're at the distillery? So that's how the best of the best kind of came about.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't...
Well, Jeff, while you get it started, I'm going to crack mine and at least put them into the glass so I'm ready.
Okay, because we'll just get it started the way it went real quick. There'll be a quick sponsor ad that runs that you won't hear, and then you'll hear our theme song, and then we'll get right into the podcast. I will tell you, Bobby,
Okay.
I did cheat on his first quarter because I just wanted to see if there was something in it that I had. And I was excited that there was something in there that I had. So that's kind of cool. So, but as far as the Minic one, I have no idea what's in it.
Yeah, there might be something that's on your bar that
There might be. 'Cause we have a lot of stuff, but as far as the first one, I was happy with what one was in there. That's for sure. All right, so I'm going to start it real quick, get it going.
Tiny here to tell you about Whiskey Thief Distilling Company and their newly opened tasting room. Whether you are up for a farm-to-glass distilling experience on the Three Boys Farm in Frankfort, Kentucky, or an out-of-this-world tasting experience in Nulu, you won't be disappointed. At both locations, their barrel picks all day, every day are like none other. Each location features stations with 5 barrels, each featuring their pot-distilled bourbons and ryes. Once the barrels have been thieved and tasted, you can make a selection and thieve your own bottle. A day at Whiskey Thief with their friendly staff and ownership will ensure you many good times with good friends and family. Remember to always drink responsibly, never drink and drive, and live your life uncut and unfiltered.
Drinking bourbon, sipping on some scotch. We get a little wild, but it's sure fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew. Man, we talk some shit, but we're telling the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, raising some hell and making some noise. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We're here to have fun and we hope you enjoy. We're here to have fun. Yeah.
Woo! All right. Welcome back to another podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Fun podcast tonight. We've got Bobby DeMars of Blind Barrels. Welcome, Bobby.
hey, thank you for having me on. I love the theme song.
Thanks. That was it was kind it's always cool. That one's not AI. The one at the end's AI, but that one is Kenny Fuller.
No, it's not.
And he did a really good job for us. So I always that one. I've been told that I've even been told by somebody who didn't really like the podcast. Once I started putting that theme song on, he was like, "I can't get it out of my head." So,
Scotchy Bourbon Boys.
yep. And then we also have CT here. Welcome, CT.
What's happening?
I will say that I've been looking forward to this. You guys have, where I respect is a lot of different things, but your marketing of this blind, the blind barrels has been fantastic, especially on Facebook. And I wish I would have, as it was all going down and I was talking to CT, I wish I would have had a kit because that's something that's in our future, my future for sure. But by the time it all went, there was not enough time to get it. So, CT, you've got the kits, and You should take the lead from here.
Well, I'm not taking the lead,
Oh.
but I'm gonna let Bobby take the lead.
Well,
So-
the lead
the lead of
interviewer.
tasting?
You're doing the interview.
Oh, you want me to be Walter Cronkite?
Gerald Ford was senselessly shot today.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really good.
So Bobby, the people in the bourbon world, I'm guessing that most people that watch the podcast that are in the bourbon world, I guess, if you want to say it like that, know of your brand. They know about Blind Barrels. They've heard about it. They may not have seen it. They may not have had one or had the chance to do it. But as I was telling Jeff earlier, there's a lot of marketing that you guys are doing. So you're seeing it on Facebook, Instagram. So they might have even seen that ad pop up with you, especially here recently where you've got the stave and you're talking about, hey, if you sign up, you get the glasses, you get the stave. And of course, the wow factor, the pop socket, that really sets the tone. So
I know, all the freebies. Well, it's funny, there's certain rules, Discus, which is part of like alcohol bylaws. There's certain things that you can't do in advertising. There's certain things you can't say. So one of the things you can't really talk about is like something that's free, right? So you have to say everything's included. But it's all the way kind of people compartmentalize value. And look, I hope, your guys' listeners and people that are bourbon fans and Scotch fans or anything have heard of us. It's taken us a while to kind of saturate the market. I think the first partnership we did with Fred Minnick about 2 years ago really gave us a nice boost. And then, now we got the one that we recently did with him that, I don't know. We're always trying to top our lineups, and sometimes we make a lineup that's so amazing, we're never going to top it, and then we top it. So we're always trying to find a way to do that. I'd say the bourbon, the people that are out there chasing like the blends and the DH Taylors and that are and look, if I see a Russell's 13, I'm buying it. I just saw a Prisoner's Share, High West for 160. I'm buying it. Then the distributor was like, I can get you a 6-pack for $110 a piece. I was like, why did you send me that to me 4 days after I bought that? But whatever. So I'm chasing bourbon too, and so I'd say those are sometimes the harder ones to understand what we're doing, and that we're not putting like Maker's Mark and Michter's. We're not putting stuff that you can really get at any liquor store. And we're not also putting like allocated stuff. Yes and no. Sometimes we do have things that are allocated. We've had, Ben Halliday, Rick House Proof in the lineup. We've had an instrument from 13th Century. We've had barrel picks from Frey Ranch, from Southern Star. We had a 15-year rye matured in a Weller barrel from Mammoth. We had an LTO in the Minute lineup with a special custom blend and a one-time version of this that they've never done before. I think there's only like 30 bottles of it left. So we limit that to like one per person. Otherwise, we learned pretty quickly that when people figured out we had something really special, they would buy like 6 or 12 of them. And then it would be gone in a week, and then everyone would be mad at me.
Right. The whole purpose is to have a lot of people do blinds, not somebody buy it and have all the whiskey, right?
Totally, exactly. And so we can't make them all be LTOs, but at the end of the day, it's all about discovering what you like through a blind. Remove the bias of the price and the brand, and we want to be the first company to do this, and we're still technically the only one that's really doing the way that we're doing it. Obviously somebody wants to do this. We didn't invent blinds, but we did add an extra value about 1.5 years ago where you can now guess the age, the proof, the type of whiskey, and the QR code. It's gamified, so you'll get a score that tells you how accurate your palate is. So that gamification is really fun. And later this week or early next week, we're going to have on the site. So there's a bottle shop, and you kind of see, if you go through our bottle shop, some of the things from past lineups. You won't see some of our LTOs because if they're sold out and they don't exist anymore, then we don't keep them up there. But we're going to have a thing called Bobby Stash. And the idea is, we're going to get some Midwinter Night's Dram up there, and you're going to be paying, instead of the $180 that you see in the liquor store, you're going to be paying $130. If you've ever seen Doc Holliday, you guys have probably had some of the Doc Holliday releases, right?
Yeah.
And Doc Holliday,
we don't get it in Ohio, but in Kentucky, I pick it up. So
Yeah, I mean, so the guys World Whiskey Society, they're out of Georgia, and they're finding really cool barrels, and they're doing some blending, they're doing finishing. I'd say their finishing is really good. And in one case, they sourced and they bottled it, and it was so if you get the Doc Holliday 10-year, you kind of have to look and see what state it's in to see what the juice is. They're not always transparent about what the juice is. So we had them in the lineup, and it was these barrels that they found in Texas actually, but it was from a distiller that was in Georgia, and this guy was basically a whiskey outlaw his whole life, like 5 generations of moonshiners, and this guy was making whiskey since he was 7, and when he was in his 70s, his daughter convinced him to go legit. This guy named Carlos Lavelle. And he started this Ivy Mountain distillery. And he was really mainly making moonshine. He wasn't aging it. And he was such a great distiller that the moonshine, the White Dog, the distillate itself was just exquisite, that people loved it. And then he was aging like 6 months. Well, 3 years in, he died. And so the barrels that he was going to age 6 months sat there for 4 or 5 years. The family finally offloaded a bunch of them. Bardstown put it in their Explorer series, their Fusion series, charged $130 for that. The rest ended up in Texas for about 4 years, which is like 7, right? That heat level,
Right.
that maturation rate. And then the rest ended up, they brought all the barrels back to Georgia. And so when they sent me a sample and I put it, because we don't choose whiskey, we don't choose brands, we choose whiskey, right? So we do everything blind over here. So I get the samples in. In fact, I've got some blind samples in front of me that I'm going through that somebody sent us. And then we choose something that has to be unique, has to be interesting. And our rules are, it's got to be American, it's got to be craft. If you're not making your own, you have to do something to it. So you have to blend it, you have to finish it, you have to do something. So pure white labeling isn't allowed. But this was the one time that we allowed white labeling because the distiller himself was a craft distiller. And when we put in a blend for my guys, they thought I was like, Bobby, you fucking with us? Is this William LaRue Weller? Like, because it was so rich and thick and tasty and nuanced. I mean, it was mind blowing how good it was. And I'm like, no, we could have this in the lineup. So we made sure that the guy's story was on the neck tag. We added that to the bottle. And I told the guys, because this was a bottle they were selling for like, I don't know, 180, 120. Our members were getting it for 125. I said, I'm going to sell this out of existence because we didn't put a limit on it. And we were just, when we sell bottles, I would say, look, you're supporting the distillery, not us. Because I try to price it to where, go try to find that bottle. And can you get that bottle, number one? And number two, can you pay the price that you pay if you're a member? So a lot of people come for the blinds, but they really stay for the access and the pricing of the full bottles. We don't do what other clubs do, which is, oh, you like something? We're going to do another 15, 20% markup, normal MSRP. We try to like knock it down. But I told, we were selling that out of existence. I told the guys at World Whiskey Society, I'm like, look, we're just going to stop selling this because I want you to, there's 2 barrels left in existence. Can you just hold on to that for a couple of years? And then when they're 12 years old, we'll bottle the rest of it and just do it as a special offer for our members. And they're like, yeah, cool. And then the guys called me. He's like, we don't have a Doc Holliday 12-year label. So can we just put the 10-year on it? I went, no. Like, what's the 12-year label? You got it. It's 12. It's actually 12 and a half years. So that arrives tomorrow.
Wow.
The Angel share from being in Texas, I mean, there's only going to be 200 bottles. And look, I'm telling you, this is like, not only the first Doc Holliday 12-year, it's the last barrels of this guy's things. I could sell these for over 200, no problem. But our members are going to get it for 140. So I'm just trying to decide if we're going to limit it to one, if it's going to turn into one of these like feeding frenzies, and it was going to be meant to be,
It'd be nice if it's one, at least everybody could get one and you don't have somebody go in there and buy 20 of them.
So,
yeah, I mean, like I'm thinking what we do initially is we limit it to 1 per person, and that way that might last us 3 months. But some people, honestly, like they're never going to spend over $100 on a bottle. Some people are really in this for the experience. They don't buy a lot of bottles, and we don't tell people how to drink, what to buy, the way to do it. Some people, my cousin never even looks at the reveal. I'm like, you're doing it wrong. What are you doing? You don't even want to know what it is? She's like, no, I like tasting the things. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, to each their own.
So he
Their
tastes
own. There's no
he tastes them. Now, as far as going further, you're talking about a release. So if you like it, there's actual bottles for members available, like picks, that type of stuff.
Yep.
Okay,
So
so
everything in the lineup is for sale. You know, the one time that we didn't was Fred Minnick's first lineup. So what he did was, this was not our lineup. So like the March lineup this year was the Fred Minnick lineup. So those two things were one and the same. So you can go buy the Fred Minnick lineup on our site, or you can become a member and obviously pay a lot less. Or like the annual member, the bonus that you'll get is the Fred Minnick kit along with the June kit, the tasting state, the glasses, all the stuff, right?
so
But
so
when Fred did it the first time, sorry, go ahead.
so just as far as how it works as the club, and it's a subscription club. So initially you get the blind kit as far as and then those are the available bottles for that month, that then if you once you do the reveal, you then can purchase going forward. Is that kind of how and if you're a member, you're going to get them reasonable.
Yeah, you're gonna get it like you guys have probably had JT Mellick before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Nice
yeah,
cookie.
our members get the JT Mellick cash drink for $60, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I looked up the page because I follow it on the page and being a member. There's 3 pages of different bottles, and they're very different from, again, what we see in Ohio. There's so few of those that are even in Ohio, so it's kind of unique.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, there's Southern Star, weeded bourbon, cast strength, and it's a barrel pick that our members are getting for $50. So if you're at the distillery buying a non-barrel pick, it's $75, and if it's a barrel pick, it's $80, $85. So we just knew RNDC pulled out of California. There was a bunch of products sitting around. I'm like, give me like 20 cases of the barrel picks, and I'm a massive fan of Southern Star. But yeah, so basically every quarter there drops. So mid-March, mid-June, mid-September, mid-December, everybody gets the same lineup at the same time, and then it never repeats. So yes, you'll see the bottles in that lineup that you could then purchase. And yeah, we have $20 flat rate shipping. So if you get 3 bottles, you're not going to get gouged as you keep buying more and more bottles, even though the shipping does cost more than that. I will say that. But we try to compartmentalize. We try to make really good shipping value for the members as well. But then all those other bottles you see, those are bottles from past lineups. So if there's a SKU that still exists, a great example, Vermont number 14. They're at Aquisha, Vermont. The only other one out there is Whistle Pig. And it's the only time we've had a flavored whiskey in the lineup. And it's Vermont maple syrup infused. And most flavored whiskey, if they're infusing maple, it's a 20% infusion. So this is a 5% maple infusion. It's very subtle. It doesn't taste like a flavored whiskey at all. We thought everybody was going to get pissed at us, like the purist or whatever. It was the opposite. I mean, I could not hold on to this bottle. So that was in our lineup a year and a half ago. A lot of times people will go on and just order a bunch of bottles, and they'll go back and they'll order some of their favorites that we still have.
Very cool.
Yes.
And you got Midwest. Like, I love myself some Midwest. We're trying to get Watershed. That's kind of our next move for Ohio.
Yeah, we'll get and like I told you, I'll get you set up. Ryan has since left Watershed, Ryan Benrick, and he has moved over to the Middle West.
What? Wait, what? What did you say?
So, where have you been?
What do you mean?
That happened a couple.
You mean like 5 seconds after the podcast?
It was maybe 10. But no, so Ryan is gone. But
Who's that?
I'll still get you hooked up, Bobby, with the people to get in touch with that Watershed, and of course Middle West. They've got all kinds of stuff. Plus, they've got some killer Old Elk stuff. If you haven't got anything from Archer and Elon, her Archer Elon stuff is great, and it's all rye stuff that Wendy is doing. So there's some good ones within those 2 brands.
Yeah, I mean, make intros, please. I mean, we're massive Middle West fans. Everything they make, their bourbon cream. I mean, everything they make is phenomenal. The Oloroso finishes.
Oh yeah.
The Cal.
They sponsor us.
The Christmas prize.
They're our sponsor. One of our main sponsors. Yeah, Ryan Lang. He's got stuff going. That's for sure. That's a pretty cool place.
I can never say a bad thing about Middle West. we're helping one of our members do a barrel pick with them right now. But you can even you can white label. I mean, they source for a ton of brands, and they're one of the few brands where you can do your own label with them and only do a 3,000 bottle run. Most places you got to do, like multiple pallets to do a white label run.
Oh, what he's figured out with that new distillery and the stuff that's going to come and how he's thinking about doing stuff. He's innovative. I mean, it's crazy what he's doing.
So Bobby, you get to be probably, in my opinion, you get one of the coolest jobs in the bourbon world, because you get to go and try all these different places that are not on the radar, so to speak, for most people. How long of a process is it for like this kit? When you start that process and trying, how long does it take you and your team to get it down to where, okay, that's going to be the kit?
There's several factors. Sometimes we're talking to a brand for 3 years before they're in the lineup. Sometimes it's a day, and there's one brand in upstate New York. They sent me their bottles. I tasted it. I always let my guys have autonomy. I'm like, no, I'm foisting this in the lineup. It's phenomenal. It's like ridiculously good. It's gonna be in the September lineup. It's not only in the movie, it's in the movie. So there's these times. So the coolest thing that I get to do is I get to talk to all these brands and all of these founders and these master distillers. And, so I talk to everybody first. I kind of tell them how our program works. We don't do any, a lot of these are smaller distilleries. And in some cases, they're bigger ones, right? And, if they are bigger, then they have to give us something really unique and special. That's kind of our rule. It just can't be a normal SKU that's distributed in 44 states. So I get to have that conversation. They send samples. So like yesterday, I picked up, we have 18 bottles that somebody sent us, and then a local distributor dropped off a few samples. So then I make those into smaller samples. My guys go through the blinds. We kind of have a core of like 5 to 10 people that are in the panel. And we don't just have like a bunch of bourbon snobs on the panel. We've got, there's a guy that at the printer shop down the way. Sometimes he pops in on a Friday, and I'm like, hey, try these few things, right? We had some people in town for a friend's party last Friday. I'm like, hey, these bottles just came in. I'm curious on feedback. So we like to listen to people that are, and I don't just listen to, like, it's not like Finland. We've done this before where everybody gives their voting and then we, decide so that there aren't any outliers that end up there, right? And if you know about Finland voting, everybody ranks and then there's a magnitude. It's almost like a matrix, right? So it's not just you vote for one thing and then the one that gets the most votes wins. And the problem with that method is you end up with everybody's second favorite, right? Which is okay. Whereas I don't mind if something's polarizing. There's something in that best of the best kit that is polarizing. Some people love like it's one of their favorites, and some people hate it. But even the ones that hate it love that they got to try it. So within that process, so if somebody's here, like the guy that was the favorite for porn, I had this at Dr. Distillery in Old Hamer, and the rum finish, he had 10 bottles in front of me. We tried them all. I thought this guy was going to finish the bottle of Old Hamer rum finish. Like this guy just was like, this is the best thing I've ever, and that magnitude, and I did love it. And we hadn't had a rum finish in the lineup yet, so we were looking for one, because most rum finishes are just overly rummy. It just tastes like rum instead of just getting some of those really cool vanilla notes. So once that process happens, so the first thing is figuring out what's going to be in the lineup, and then the SKU. So sometimes distillery, we love everything, we love everything. Midwest, we love everything. Sometimes they just send us just all bangers, and we have to figure out what's going to be in the lineup. Then we have to determine what order they're going to be in. Because that's so I always feel bad. There was one time, so that Vermont number 14 after they were sample A, and sometimes you go up and prove, sometimes you have to put single malt at the end. There's some things that you just have to do, otherwise you mess up the lineup. I felt like we screwed over Kings County in that lineup. Actually, we didn't mean to, but when you have something that's just sweet, even very subtly sweet, it just doesn't make the next one shine as good. So we try to place them in a way so that everybody really shines and everything it's not really a competition. If I got 20 people in a room, 30 people say A is their favorite. The same will be true for B, the same will be true for C, same for D, and there'll be one person that hates A, same for B, C, and D. Like, so you can never please everybody. And ultimately, we're not really a whiskey company, we're an experience company. So my job is to forge these relationships with distillers. These are partners. It's just very symbiotic. We don't take marketing fees. We don't tell them to give us the whiskey for free. We don't tell them to give us deals on the wholesale price. At the end of the day, we want to showcase and uplift these small brands and really kind of what distribution does. Distribution, especially for on-premise, but definitely for on-premise, there's a reason why you see all the usual suspects at bars, restaurants, and liquor stores, right? And in your case, obviously, you're in a more controlled state, so trying to get product to you is harder, and those mechanisms get tricky. But we do everything above board. We're not a basement with a funnel.
No, and what you said there, that's exactly what I love about it too, is that you're advocating for these small craft distilleries and a platform that they really don't have. They probably are good at being able to have their own market share. The people that know them come into their distilleries are local. But once you get outside of that, it's kind of hard. And we see it in Ohio. We have a lot of small craft distilleries in this area. And we focused a lot on that this year. Like, that's been one thing with the podcast, is that we wanted to bring some light to these brands because there's some really good stuff out there that people see on the shelf, but it's not the brand name that they know. So they pass and they get a bottle of something that they know, like one of the big brands. And I think that is really cool with what you do, is you're bringing them to light and opening people's eyes and palates to what's out there. Just like you said with the one brand that does the rice. I the first time I tried that, I was like, Melick, or is it Melick? Is that how you say their name?
Yeah, JT Melick. You would think if you taste, it's 100% Louisiana rice whiskey, and they're really crawfish farmers. They're really seafood people. In fact, the owner, Mike Fruget, he doesn't drink whiskey. He's a vodka guy, right? And but somebody convinced them that they could make whiskey out of the rice that they got in crawfish.
I hope they weren't in Minnick's pick or his kit, because he doesn't really like vodka.
His whole thing is vodka sucks, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, so it was in the Randy Sullivan from Bourbon Real Talk. We did a partnership with him the March of 2025. And he was like, you guys got to get Melick. You guys got to get Ben Halliday. I was like, I want Ben Halliday. We've talked to them. I'd say 1 in 20 brands will talk to somebody that isn't the decision maker, but they're right below it. And then they just go, well, we don't white label. We're not white. Because what we are doing is white labeling, right? Like, technically.
Yeah, because their brand isn't on the bottle. They don't get to promote the brand like that.
Right, but we're not positive like it's our brand, right? We are very much a marketing arm for that brand. So some people very rarely just don't get that. And then you had 13th Century, and he had Rocktown Still column in there. So, yeah, Randy picked all bangers. And that JT Melick is, at 118 proof, it's a really smooth cast strength, and it drinks for being 4 or 5 years old. It drinks like a really deep, rich, well-aged bourbon. It's wild to me.
But yeah,
they're
crazy. You find the brands, and like we have one here in Ohio that does 100% corn, and that's what they really focus on. And people are like, wait a minute, 100% corn? There's no barley in there, there's no rye, but it's phenomenal. Like, it's so good. And people,
is it bourbon or is it corn whiskey?
It would be considered
bourbon.
You know what? Yeah, it's bourbon.
Yeah. The only way it goes to corn whiskey is if it gets stuck in a used barrel right off the bat. But if you age it, right. The guy that's doing corn whiskey right now, old Carter, Mark Carter, some of his best stuff is 100% corn. You're just like, oh my God, that there's. As you know, it's the people who are taking the time to you're dealing with the craft distillers and the people that really put out, they take their time to put it out, but then it's also you finding these people and picking them out. And that's something that you're doing to help people understand what's happening at these craft distilleries, because a lot of times the craft distilleries have a hard time getting their messages out. They have good whiskey, but nobody's picking them because the story's not on the shelf. And when you walk in and you don't know what it is, whiskey, when you have hundreds of choices, we all know how people pick stuff.
The bottle, yeah, we call it label failure. Oh, your buddy liked this one, they recommended, you drink, and you're like, shit, I didn't really like that. And it happens all the time. And there's craft brands like Frey Ranch is a great example of somebody that's been really great at. They're whiskey farmers. They grow their own grain. They really were able to push that story through, but their product is so good. Their ryes are some of the best ryes. Have you had their 100% malted corn before? It's wild how it's wild, interesting, and phenomenal all at the same time. But who's doing that? You see bigger brands that are just following all these trends that the craft brewers are doing. And like Alan Bishop, you guys probably had Alan on your show, right?
Many times.
From French Lick, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and Alan, I've been on If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. 'Cause I've been on 2 of his podcasts.
Us
a couple
too.
Of times.
Me and Roxy too.
Yeah, I love it. I love Alan. But when he put in his mash bill,
Sunflowers.
he puts buckwheat. Yeah, and buckwheat's and all these things. Like if you get a bunch of rye, 2% of that's going to be buckwheat. And so he's like, it's in the mash bill. His 4 grain, one of the grains is oat. And I got to tell you,
Yeah.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
There is a something to those oats being in there that I can't figure out why other people haven't used it.
So this was his.
Oh, yeah.
This was his Lillian Sinclair, the Lillian, not the.
Oh, I haven't had that.
What? Have you had that?
Yeah, the woman, the other guy. Yeah, who's Lillian was? I'm assuming his wife.
I believe
story wise, but
I want to say
this one.
Sister Lillian. Yeah. So this one, it is a 4 grain, but he flipped. I need my. It's been a while, but he flipped the grains from least. Yeah. Okay. So this one is corn, rye, oats, and barley, and he switched the. I want to say he switched from the Sinclair.
Barley and the oats.
Yeah, let me see. I got it. I got Lee Sinclair. That is corn, wheat. Yeah, oats and barley. This is a rye oats and barley, and the Sinclair was wheat oats and barley. So he did that as a passion project, and then he dropped some French oaks a French oak stave from Stephen Beam in the barrel for about 3 months, and then we did that barrel pick. So I that one was one that I got out of there before he left. That was actually the last pick he did before he left French Lick.
Oh my God! Do you have any more of that? I gotta try some of that.
I have a lot of it. No, it's not. I have a lot.
Oh yeah.
The barrel, yes. I got cases because I knew that's I've been sitting on it.
Okay, well, maybe we would come up with a trend.
Yes.
With wolves.
No, that would be wonderful. Just wonderful.
Dances with Wolves trend.
It could be it could be in the next blind. It'll be the next blind with the.
Okay, so when you do a blind. Like whatever, how many bottles do you actually have to be able to do a blind for your members and everything? I mean, what is the volume you're talking about to be able to do that?
So like right now, we've got over 5,000 members, right? So we can't do barrel picks the way that we used to do anymore. So we are doing what it's interesting. Now we've kind of reached a level where we can just do barrel picks for fun, right? And then just like the Doc Holliday, great. We're going to sell that out. That's not in the lineup, right? But that'll be something that people can get. So we're going to try to see if we can start doing like a barrel pick every quarter, just as a side fun special release type of a deal. But 85 gallons gets you to about 6,500 hits, but 85 per SKU. So that's 340 gallons that have to be bottled into 50 mLs to create a lineup, because I need to have enough for several things. I need we're going to gain more members between now and the next lineup. So I need to be able to send them a kit, not have to wait for the next one. But then at the end of the year, a bunch of people are buying one-off kits and not becoming members, and we have to have that surplus. And then there's corporate gifting, and there's all these other things. You kind of have to have surplus for every single lineup that you do. There was a Christmas where we almost ran out of product, and people, that's a nice problem to have. I don't know. That's not a problem that I want to have.
It isn't, almost is okay. If you almost run out.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you run out, that's a shitty problem to have, because that's just leaving money on the table, and that's not. You're not.
I can't just pour whiskey into our bottles. Like, that's not. There's a 3-tier system, and it's really annoying. And I won't say how we do what we do. I know 6 ways to do what we do, and we have the most optimal way for the way that we're doing it. But it's difficult to navigate a lot of these laws, and no other countries have to do any of this stuff that we do. To credit. But what we did was, once we reached a threshold about, go ahead.
Every state's a different country. I mean, that's the thing. They all have different laws. I mean, some are very similar. There's no doubt, but everyone has its little thing that can, and it's all designed somehow to screw you. It's right.
Yeah, no, I would say, and there's some really great distributors out there, and then there's some that are like, it's like, the mafia didn't get out of alcohol after Prohibition; they got into distribution.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'm talking to a distributor, and I feel like I'm talking to, like, the guy that raised Anakin Skywalker. What was oh, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you. It's fine. Everything's good, right? And and he's just, but he's like trying to talk me into something, and I'm like, can we just talk like humans? Like, I talk to distillers all the time. Everybody talks like humans, and I'm not saying it because he has an accent or whatever. The guy didn't really have an accent. I mean, but sometimes the guy will have an accent that sounds like he's going to be in my backseat with the piano wire, and he's going to murder me.
Forget about it.
Don't worry, we're going to take care of you.
Forget about it.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby. You and me are tight. I'm not gonna let this go by. And then he does. And then I was like, I knew we were never tight. I never trusted that we were fucking tight. That's bullshit. So we ran out when we stopped doing barrel picks. That were in the lineup. We had still Austin in the lineup at the end of 2024. And what was really cool about that is. Cool and not cool. So Still Austin has this Total Wine deal. Like, you can't get Still Austin unless it's Total Wine. It's in California. So I can't buy their bottles. But the loophole is that you can do a barrel pick. The problem is we had too many members. And so I said, can I pick 2 barrels? And we blend them. So I trademarked the name The Smallest Batch. So we started doing the Smallest Batch series. The smallest a small batch can be, which is 2 barrels. And then we got into blending as a special LTO. So we've done that. We have our 4th one coming up that we've done that's like that. We just did one with Pinhook. Pinhook was really great because I love Pinhook. Like, if I see Pinhook at Costco, I buy it because I know it's going to be awesome. And I know it's going to be, Costco always has this killer price. And with the CEO, he actually reached out to me on LinkedIn. And I'm like, I love you guys. I'm like, but you guys are like in every restaurant I've ever been in. Like, can you give us something? And I was trying to talk them into like letting us do like a 3-barrel blend of like their 10-year vertical. And we got really close to doing that. And instead we did a custom blend. So they have a true small batch series where you can blend 2 barrels or 2 or 3 barrels together and make your own custom blend. But it's the first time that it was ever double barreled. So they had these 3-year barrels that then they re-barreled at the 3-year mark and then got to 6-year. And we flew out to New Orleans where Sean Josephs lives. And so my guys, we flew out there. He had a bunch of samples on there from different barrels. And we spent a couple hours blending, figuring out what 3-barrel blend we were going to come up with. Learned a lot. I mean, that guy is one of the best blenders in the game. There's no question. We went to this unbelievable restaurant. We went down to Bourbon Street and got slurricanes. We golfed with Sean the next day. He's going to be in town actually in 2 weeks. We're going to be golfing with him again. And I was telling my guys, it was a 25-hour trip to New Orleans. And I'm like, you know that if you were like a Make-A-Wish Foundation fundraiser, somebody would pay 25 grand to do what we just got to do. To go out, make a custom blend with the guy that founded the master blender from Pinhook, golf with them. Like, I'm just saying, like,
It was
it's there's some tough things about our job, but there's some badass things about our job.
so their Pinhook's brand is very, very what would you say? I call it corporate. It's very corporate. It's like they're in a lot of different. They're in high end bars. So when I was in New Orleans for a New Orleans Bourbon Festival, did you go there this year? No.
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
So
I'd never been to New Orleans actually until that trip.
Okay, because just in March we were there, and there was a panel, and he was sitting next to Macaulay Minton from Dark Arts.
Yeah, from Dark Arts.
And if you want to talk about
Macaulay on mushrooms,
Macaulay was on. He got married, which was crazy. I mean, the whole thing. I actually got to live stream his wedding, and he let me mic him. Live mic him. That was nuts. But the two of them together, sitting next to each other, was about the biggest contrast of bourbon people I've ever seen in my life. And they were sitting next to each other on a panel. You know what I mean? It's just like that one end, one guy is just like taking it and going off on just like unbelievable tangents. And then he's there and he makes Pinhook, and he's, and they were talking about things so different of how they go about it, but it's the coolest thing about whiskey, right? There's so many different ways to do it.
And they've both been in our lineup. So yeah, we had the Dark Arts Julepier. I think about a year, December of 2024, we had them, or December, 2024, we had them in the lineup. And yeah, Macaulay, great character, awesome, love that guy, one of the best palates in the game. There's no question. And then you look at Sean Josephs, who comes from this. Really, I mean, if we were in a car, he's telling us a story for an hour throughout the day, and he was a ski bum, and then he worked his way up in a restaurant, and he worked his way through the wine thing, and really kind of like some of the ways that he looks at the tannins and the wines and the different things that he's doing, and even the way that he blends, it's really fascinating because we learned a lot that it wasn't just trying to take that one and that one because of those notes that they're going to work well together. That some things don't play well together. But yeah, two totally, completely different personalities. And I didn't look at like Pinhook as it's like, well, they're corporate. It's more of like you said, yeah, they're in all the nice restaurants. They're everywhere. So I said, look, if we're going to have a Pinhook, it needs to be something that nobody else can get, that only our members can get.
So it was a 3-barrel blend? Is that what'd you end up doing with it?
It was a 3-barrel blend. And so some of it went into samples, the rest got barreled, and it's a black label.
It's on your website.
Gold lettering. Yeah, and with the black wax, it's in one of the kits that's on your table right now. It's got the black wax. It says blended by Blind Barrels, and yeah, it was and it's interesting because you would think we did this at Still Austin where we had we went into they call it a rack house, and it's in Lockhart. It's not even in Austin. It's like 40 miles outside. And most people pick barrels. They bring the samples into the distillery in Austin, and they pick from there. But we went into the rack house. We're drinking sherry. We're drinking everything there. And then we pulled 20 barrels. And then we picked what we thought were 5 outliers that were unique and interesting. We pulled that back. And then, if you think about the combination of 5, choose 2, you have, I think it's 10 different things that you could have. So we were like, let's make all 10 of these things. And there was one that the front end was like off the charts, and there's one that the back end was really good. And you'd think that those together might play well together. And it just turned out that they did. I mean, but you could take a world-class athlete and a Rhodes Scholar, and you might end up with a really dumb non-athlete. You could end up, somehow like you'll get this thing that you can't mute the bad thing with this other thing. But that bottle, I only have one of it left, and I'm looking at it. I want to drink it with my kids one day. I do have one of each of these special barrels. The one that we do with Southern Star. So it was a barrel. So there was a barrel that won the New York Spirits competition outright. And there was a sister barrel. There was only 2 of these barrels that were experimental that I later found out that existed. So he sent me the samples, and he's like, put them in non-translucent glasses. Don't look at the color. Don't be swayed by the color. And I did. But sure enough, this one was like, oh my God, this is a 4-year-old whiskey. Are you sure? I mean, and it was still to this day the darkest whiskey I've ever seen in my entire life. It is the darkest whiskey. And we put it in the lineup, and sure enough, it crushed. And what it was, an experimental barrel that had the inside was groved out. And it created all this surface area on the
I
inside.
like how Jack Daniels does with the the Sinatra bottle.
Is that what they do?
Yeah,
I don't
the
even know what
Sinatra barrel is grooved on the inside like that.
And is it really dark too? I mean, I just didn't know why it was so dark, and it was rich, and it was phenomenal.
That's a ton of wood contact if you think about it. Like all that shaving's still in there, plus the wood that it's getting into like normal. Yeah, I think that's why it gets so dark.
And then,
well, I mean, but then the thing is though, when you get something that like that though, the char, it'll settle. And then you'll do this, and the plume will come up. This barrel is just dark. This bottle has been sitting over there for a year untouched. It's still dark throughout the whole thing. So there's no like little fine dusty things. Like in fact, it was already bottled when they sent it to us, which is usually, they're sent in different drums and vessels and things like that. But in this case, it was already bottled because he wanted to give it away as like special gifts throughout the whole year. And so he had to send us those bottles and then turn those bottles into candles, because I don't want to just throw away that glass,
Yeah.
so CT.
So
like the Indians, we just use all the pots.
You've got it in front of you. What did you pour?
I'm telling you, but this is crazy. I mean, you probably haven't been watching my facial expressions, but so one is definitely, and it's on my right. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can see what you mean, Bobby, about the progression and not trying to fight because, wow, 4 is way different. And if 4 had been in the front, the notes that it has would have kind of messed with 1 for sure. 1 is more, to me, the potpourri, the fruits, definitely has that lighter note to me.
Is this the best of the best box or the Minnick box?
Best of the best. So to me, this one was the more potpourri, but has, the more you drink it, there's some nuances that come in there. There's a cereal note that I get that I like a lot. It's just very different. But 2 follows me more like a traditional bourbon. And I'm probably way off, but it just has that nice, I don't want to say, it's just like, but it does. It's just got the caramels, the vanillas. It's just, this has a lot of those good flavors. 3 and 4, there's something going on there. Those are different.
Yeah, those are wildly different. And there is, yeah, you're right. There's a progression where, it's funny. Sample A, the number 1, you're right, it's probably still one of the most popular ones in the lineup. People keep ordering that. I have to keep ordering that again and again from the distributor. The second one, these are all ones that have been in the lineup, is a smaller distillery. It's a Kentucky distillery. It's probably one that you've been familiar with, that just got sold to somebody else. The third one is something we've already mentioned. The fourth one is somebody we've already mentioned.
The fourth one, and if I'm wrong on that first time I drank it, this was the wow glass for me because there was a barbecue note on there that I thought I was like, yeah, it's just different. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's different.
It's almost chewy.
So that's not the Minnick one. That's the first quarter. That's the 2026 first quarter.
Oh my God. Yeah, there is it's a barbecued. It is so unique.
Isn't it funny what happens
it's the number 14 whiskey in the world.
That's what?
So after they were in the lineup, 2 weeks after we had bottled and everything, right as it was coming out, it got named number 14 whiskey in the world by Whiskey Advocate.
It's full. It's got heat. I mean, it definitely leaves you a hug, but it is by far, to me, one of the most unique flavors of a bourbon. It's not flavored, obviously, but you don't get barbecue, or I don't get barbecue on a lot. But that's fun.
Oh, so we
All right, so Bobby, tell us. Let's go through this. So real quick, so people see this at home. So when you get the kit, whether you buy a quarterly kit or you buy the subscription for the year, I'm going to tell you for the money, buy the yearly, because you get the glasses, you get the extra kit. That's a better deal. But you always get a card in there that's going to tell you about it. Tell you that, hey, this is release number 16 and it's the best of the best. Tells you about them, what you're getting ready to get into. The other thing that I thought was really cool, before you tell us what's in these, is the bottles themselves, which we talked about 50 milliliters. They are labeled ABCD, but if I happen to accidentally get these mixed up, which could happen, I'm good at that. On the back is a QR code, so you can scan this, if I'm not mistaken, and then you can find out exactly what this one was, and you can order that if you wanted that bottle.
Yeah, that's not something we did early on. We changed over about a couple years ago. We started putting, honestly, the little label that we had on the back that was like, pregnant women can't drink it, and some of the things. It was such a small label that it was hard for our label applicator. And so by making the front and the back the same size, it actually solved a little bit of that problem in general. But yeah, putting the QR code on each bottle. And then with each one, there's also a separate letter that we give hints to different things about the lineup. And there's also on the back of it, there is a unique cocktail. My guy creates a unique custom cocktail and a whiskey meal recipe.
So
yeah, this one is a holiday whiskey fudge.
do you have a brick and mortar place?
Make that. It's unbelievable.
Do you actually have a place?
Yeah, we're here right now.
Okay. So where you can come into and you can, everything's available and you can do blind tastings and stuff like that? Where's that located?
Yes and no. So we're in Westlake Village. We're just north of LA. We're kind of like we're like Calabasas adjacent. We don't have the Kardashians, but we got Josh Brolin. Okay, we got Josh Brolin over here. Although we got Britney Spears does live over here. She just got arrested down the street.
Was she at your place?
We got Wayne. No. We got Wayne Gretzky. We got a lot of people. At Lake Sherwood, which is where like Tiger Woods his golf tournament every year. Lake Sherwood is one of the best country clubs in the country. So we're in Westlake. We're just north of LA. We don't have a tasting license, so we can't pour samples here. We're working on that. Actually, you can have the 2 licenses that we have concurrently. We can do that. So we're in the process of getting approved for that. But yeah, local members come in here all the time and get to buy things without paying for shipping. Or a lot of times, local members, I like to give them the price of the bottle for really, really, really close to wholesale, just so we don't lose money on the transaction with the credit card fees or whatever. So anybody that's locally that's here, we've had people that have been in town and have visited. In fact, we do a whiskey trip every year. The first year, there was a year where picking up all the whiskey ourselves was cheaper than freighting it, and everything was from like Washington all the way to Oregon and down the California coast. So we just made a whiskey trip out of it. And then the next year we did Iowa to Indiana to Kentucky to Tennessee. That was a long trip. It's in Illinois. We hit 5 states and 1,700 miles. And then we did Texas the year after that. We crossed all the way across Texas and visited distilleries, some that had been in the lineup and some that we were scouting. And then this last October, we went from Atlanta all the way to DC. And I got to tell you, we found a diamond in the rough that was like the wildest. You think you've heard of things in craft. There was this guy in, the name is, I think, Broad Slab in North Carolina. And it's basically a town that had figured out there's a part of the tree that nobody figured out how to use it. And it's the broad slab of the tree. And they started using it to help pave roads. And that's the name of this town. Well, this guy learned from his stepdad with a generational farm. He grew it. He started making whiskey. And what he did was, when he would make a bourbon, when it would reach 2 years old, he would put it under a tobacco flue. And a tobacco flue gets to like 170 degrees. And so these barrels that we put under there for like 3 days, well, 2% of them just explode. Okay, but they all come out like warped and wild and crazy. And basically these 2-year-old barrels are insanely dark and have rich tobacco notes. And I don't know what anybody's doing, but he's only got like 600. I don't know if he's going to let us have some to put him in the lineup, but that was one of those ones where we were just completely in the middle of nowhere. He puts us in a tractor. We go through the woods, and I'm like, and you know, and he talks like, you know, he talks like he's got a first grade education. And when you start talking to him, you go, this is one of the most brilliant people I've ever been around. I mean, he built his rick house. I've seen a lot of hillbilly stills in my day. This was the most premium, self-made still and measure that I've ever seen, and it was mind blowing. You can't judge a book by its cover or a man by his accent. I'll tell you that. And so we are going to work really hard to get this guy in the lineup. So yeah, we go visit people we love, and we get to go scout out ones, and it's great because you guys, you know, as you guys know, when you're picking barrels and you get to hang out with the owner and you're popping barrels, and there's nothing better than that experience.
Well,
you know, there's nothing wrong with the normal tour where you have the white dog in the room and you do the stuff, right? But
well, if you have the right people with you,
our members come with us too.
You know, you have Harlan Wheatley, or you got Brent Elliott giving you the tour, and then you're in the Rick House thieving with them. Yeah, I always say that bourbon, it's especially with you doing what you're doing blind, because you're there when you're having the experience. It always makes especially straight out of the barrel, it makes the bourbon taste so much better. It's like when it gets where you really got to taste it back at the office, out of the thing, and that's where you got to really judge it, because I swear your sensory just goes so much higher when you're hanging out with people that and having a good time. It's just that's what
totally. Like, have you guys been to Three Boys or Whiskey Thieves?
Oh, yeah. They're our other sponsor. Walter's like my bet. Like in the industry, Walter's probably my best friend in the industry. I mean, he's we're having a bus tour this year. We went last year to the tasting room. He gave us lunch in the Pendennis Club. Now this year we're going out to the farm, and so he's sponsoring the whole thing. Going to set up a big thing in the Rick House, and they're fantastic.
I mean, that was my first time when we were starting the company. Before we went out, we were in Kentucky for the American Spirits Craft Association, and I had never done the whiskey trail and all the things. And we ended up at the Whiskey Thief, right? But it was Three Boys at the time, and just that Friday, it's sunset, the barn doors open, you're thieving barrel out of, like, literally you're thieving it to make your own bottle out of it. And it's still maybe one of the best whiskeys I've had. And because I drank it after the fact when I was in the environment, and I wish I bought one of these 375 mLs. But like, that's a great example of somebody that will probably never be able to get in the lineup because they operate. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they're there.
Are they doing full 750 now?
Yeah,
they do. Yeah, and honestly, you should. I'll get you hooked up with Walter. You probably could. They at this point, you probably could get them in the lineup.
Their single barrel program is rolling now, which probably back then it wasn't doing much, but now they're doing a bigger out. They do a lot of single stuff.
Also, just know.
Are they still doing 8 and 9? Are they still?
What's that?
Well, but they hired Lisa Roper Wicker, and I don't think you hire. And we've discussed this on the podcast with Lisa and Walter. You don't hire Lisa if you're not going to do. I mean, it's all been single barrels to this point, but I mean, you're leaving stuff on the table if you don't let her do blends. I mean, it's just, they got the still and whatever, but Walter's very good at securing some damn good whiskey when he goes out there. And if they start blending, they gotta. Just that simple. That's what Lisa does.
The youngest distiller in Kentucky, and I'm up there by the the fermentation tanks. And I mean, this is just like 5 inches off of the thing, and he's inebriated.
Hunter?
And
That was
we're up
Hunter?
there, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, you know, he's got one strap on. He's like, you guys in California, you're a goddamn liberal, right? You guys are liberals. And I was like, we're a very diverse state. You know, like, so it was just one of those classic, like, you know, the distillers up there. He's been drinking, he's been sampling. We're down there, but I had never done something like that before. And yeah, we popped all sorts of barrels, and we've had all sorts of fun doing that now. But I still kind of look back at that moment as a special moment. And when people, we probably have, you know, 50 of our members reach out all the time. Hey, we're going to the trail. Where should we go? We're going to this state. Where should we go? And that's always on the list. I said, you have to go there, because once you've done one distillery, once you've done, you know, the Heaven Hill, done that, like, you've done it all. Like, I always say, go to places where you can get a store pick. You have to go to Willett and get the egg salad sandwich. But when I was at Willett, they were pouring 3 different 15, 16, and 17-year purple tops for a total of $25. And I was like, yeah, no, we were on some lucky day, and they wouldn't let us do it twice, obviously, but it was just one of those, like, oh my God, like, we're just finding little bits of gold everywhere. And that's kind of what we're doing with these other distilleries, that there are these little, you know, come on, Broad Slab, like, who's ever heard of Broad Slab? Nobody. I guarantee you, nobody's ever heard of that.
I'm telling you,
try to get them in the lineup
every day now. It's like I'm on a list that I get. But I get tequila and vodka people contacting me to come on the podcast, you know, and it's always like, well, we just listened to this podcast, and you should really have. And I'm like, it's a whiskey podcast. That's where I draw the line, you know. And I'll do anything as far as cocktails and, you know, that type of thing, or flavored whiskey. Fine, it just has to do anything to do with whiskey. I mean, that's a pretty broad scale, right? You're talking Scotch, you're talking Japanese. You know, we just had our first Cinco de Mayo Mexican distiller, Sierra Norte. They came on, and so I actually had you know, that was our first international podcast. But what I'm saying is, but every day there's a distillery I've never heard of in Virginia, or and they want to send me samples. And my only thing is send me the samples. If I can recognize the whiskey as good, like well-made whiskey, they're on. You know, I understand my palate of what I want, but it has, you know, I also understand that every single distillery makes, you know, the large distilleries, they're making it for everybody, right? Even yourself. There's, like you said, there's some people that you might not like that whiskey on the end, but you know it's really good. But then the fourth one you love, and then when you put it out there to everybody, it's equal straight across the board. That's just palates, right? It's like you're serving steak and lobster. That's what you do when you're blind, right? You got steak and lobster. There's some people who love lobster, don't like steak, and you know, vice versa. But pretty much most people like it all. They like both steak and lobster. So that's the goal, right?
Yeah, you want people that are trying everything. We are going to get into tequila, you know, probably next year. We're just
smart.
The laws are a little bit different in how you can do it. So we're going to have a tequila, mezcal, agave box. You know, even throwing some soda, like some really cool, like even I'm thinking like pachuta. You know, I mean, there's some really cool things that you could do with that category. And we're in the process of raising money right now. So we're about midway through that, because we're expanding into a restaurant model that's totally different than this model, and then trying to get our kids into hotel rooms.
Nice.
So
do you want to?
Yep.
Do you want to go through this blind? We didn't get back to it.
Go through it.
No, another tangent.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you what each of these are. So that first one is from Traverse City, Michigan, and that is.
City?
It's not Traverse City. I mean, it's funny. There's a few distilleries in Traverse City.
My son lives there.
One of them is Mammoth. So tell your son to go to Mammoth Distilling, because
I'm going now.
Tell you, it is such a everything that they have, and look, they do source a lot of Canadian rye from Alberta, but then they've got this island where they're doing all these yeast experiments, and they're true craftsmen. Longtime friends. I first met them when I was in Kentucky at the convention, and Phil Addy, who was their head distiller at the time, I mean, he was doing amateur chiropractic on me at 2 a.m. while we were drinking like some hazmat stuff. And, so it's just, great people, great whiskey. I'll tell you that 15-year ride that we had matured in a Weller barrel from them, they were in our second lineup ever. So to have them back in the lineup, and this is a store pick. You can only get this if you're at the store. This is the Mammoth Northern Rye Bourbon. And yes, this is a really, really popular bottle.
Yeah.
English members, people order this like crazy. That second one is Casey Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, makes sense.
Which I think they're out of Pembroke, Kentucky.
They're over on the west side of.
I think it's the grandson that's doing the distilling now, right?
AJ was the main guy, but they just sold the company. I forget to who, but this was like 3 months ago. So, but no, there's a family operation, and so we had them in the lineup a long time ago. It was their white label. I got to say, for the quality of their product and for the pricing of their product, so we sell that bottle of Sample B for $45 because that's what it is if you're at the distillery. We have their single barrel white label cast strength, and they do lower barrel entries, so you're getting these cast strengths that are like anywhere from 105 to 112. We sell that for $50, on our site, and that crushes. That third one. So, what did you think of the third one? Be honest.
Hank, let me go back. There was a funky note on this that I wasn't sure.
You can tell me what type of whiskey this is.
Oh boy, that's okay. Hang on.
And so the choices, well, you got bourbon, rye, wheat, single malt. Those are kind of your four main, right?
Mm.
Although we've had a millet grain, we have 100% Louisiana rice whiskey. We've had things that are in those four and other lineups, but
this one of the four was the funkiest. There's a funk to this that, if I had to say, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a single malt that has some weird, because single malts will do that, but it doesn't remind me of a single malt at the same time. But whatever it is, it's heavy on 1 grain. It's how I feel.
Yeah, this is a single malt. I'd say probably only about 15% of people can pick up on this. We do a show called Four Whiskeys with the local radio guy every Thursday, and somebody put this in the blind like 3 months ago, and none of us guessed single malt because it's not. What happens to people who make single malts? They do all these old world methods, right? They copy all the old world methods, whereas Southern Distilling, when they made this, they said, we're going to make this like a bourbon.
Yeah.
And
it's not the fruit notes. Like we just did a podcast with Town Branch, and Dave Bob brought in some really killer single malts, and one of them had this crazy raspberry note that was just different from anything.
But it was butter icing raspberry. I mean, it was more. I never tasted anything like it in a whiskey.
So this has a little darker side of it for a single malt, though. Like this goes more to a dark side, not as fruity, which, like you're saying, if they do a different process, that makes sense.
Yeah, people either love it or they hate it. It's kind of like it's polarizing. And this is only a 375 milliliter bottle. You can only buy this if you are at the distillery or if you're a member. We're the only retailer that has both sample A and C, unless you're at the distillery yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pete Barger, he's at, Bruzel did Bruzel Fest or something on his location. And they all went nuts for this. Now that can very much be Inception, where somebody, Bruzel says it doesn't serve it, but it needs to love it.
Yeah.
And we don't tell people what to love. I always equated when we started this, we figured out quickly, like that Southern Star Dark Barrel that everybody went nuts for. I got an angry email about it that was like, I've had 7 barrel picks from Southern Star. This didn't taste anything like any of them. And I'm like, well, fuck yeah, dude. We're trying to do shit that people aren't doing. That's the whole point.
Isn't that
You
why
know,
you do barrel picks and different things? You're right. That's why. Exactly. Something different, right?
Want it to be different. Well, we picked a barrel with Frey Ranch, and we were with Colby and Ashley, and with Russell, the head distiller. And I mean, we spent all day with them. It was so much fun, and trying all these things. We're riding on the tractor. He's got, all this. We're having fun all day, but we're in the room picking the samples. And I had never at that point picked a barrel before. And so my guy, who had done it before, he's like, no, you decide. There was 5 there, and there was one that was very bright and very much on brand for Frey and very much their flavor profile. But there's this one that had this like vegetal forest floor thing, and I couldn't stop drinking it. It was so unique and interesting to me. But I didn't want to and I could tell they were nudging me. I could tell the head distiller was nudging me towards their standard thing, right? But my guy being my guy, my chief taste, my spirit scouts, my whiskey wizards, he listens to everybody. He doesn't foist. He's the best listener. And there was this older woman in the corner of the room who'd been sitting there the whole time. And he looks over her and he says, well, what about you? Which one do you like? And she's holding this glass like it's the cup of Christ. And she keeps sipping from it. She's like, I think this one's the best one I've ever had since I've been here. And it was the weird one. And it turned out it was a cooperage that they've never used before, which is why the profile was different. And the distiller looked at her with this stink eye because it was the distiller's wife. And that's the one that ended up in the lineup, right? And that's the one that I'm like, look, we may not, and we got to go back to Frey because we need to do a barrel pick of rye from them because I do think their rye is just so off the charts, phenomenal. When they sell a barrel pick on their site and whatever, I paid $105 or $110 or whatever it is for their cask strength rye is, I think, as good as it gets, So that's a Southern Star. The 4th one is something that we talked about that you guys should be very familiar with.
Yes,
And
I've been
so what do
drinking.
you think that is? Yeah.
So I'm guessing that it's the pumpernickel.
Nope.
Or is it?
This is the cask strength wheat. It's their cask strength wheat. Whiskey.
That's where that different taste. You're tasting that toasted wheat. That wheat whiskey at cask strength, I agree. That is a phenomenal. And their wheated bourbon that they put out at cask strength is freaking phenomenal too.
I mean, what do you guys pay if you're at the liquor store? What are you paying for a cask strength of the wheat?
$59.99.
I think it's 69. Yeah,
59.
59.
Yeah, $59.99 because
and that's
all day
what
every.
we sell it for. That's what our members get it for.
Yeah, I mean it's just.
But I'll tell you, if you get that outside of the state, it's nowhere near that. Like in fact, the cask strength pumpernickel rye that used to wholesale for like $100. Like,
oh wow.
That I'm just saying. So there, we didn't get some of their stuff in the lineup. So when I'm like, oh my god, we can sell cask strength wheat whiskey that's like 6 years old. That's phenomenal and exquisite. And yeah, I mean, after we had chosen them to be in the lineup, like right as we're sending our December kits out last year, it was named number 14 whiskey in the world. So that was Providence in its own way. But
yeah,
we love Midwest, everything they make.
No,
yeah, it's a great lineup because you've got so much variety there. I think the single malt stuff is fun. It definitely is something that I've enjoyed more and more the last probably year of trying different ones and picking up different nuances. So
yeah, I mean, you like that you got to try it, and
yeah,
and I got a bunch of it because I didn't know when I'd be able to get more of it, and I was like, I want to make sure that I have this for the people that are going to come and circle back to it, and let people know that because you can't get it. Go try to buy it. It's impossible. It's not a thing, right?
Right.
And that's the goal. So we have in our upcoming June lineup, we have one that isn't distributed anywhere. There's like, it's a brand that stopped distributing, that you can only get any of their products, any product they make, if you are there.
Oh wow.
Kind of like
And then they made it-
kind of like Whiskey Thief, right? I mean, Whiskey Thief, you can,
Pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like, is it still true at Whiskey Thief? You can only get a bottle if you thieve it yourself.
They have
Well,
they have bottles at the gift shop, and they will like there's barrels that when it's they will finish the barrel and then bottle it in. So, but overall, pretty much.
well, they've done that. That Mayday Rye is probably the one they've done a little bit more marketing with, and that's a hazmat proof rye that they've been doing.
What are
Right.
they selling that 750 ml for?
If you bottle your own, I think a 750 is like 140.
Yeah, because when I bottled the 375, it was 65.
Yeah, and I think those are 79.
Yeah, they're 80 now.
But
Yeah.
but they're all 7, 8, 9 year, right?
Oh, and
Oh, the ryes
that's
are
always my thing.
the ryes are
The rye-
unbelievable.
what
I
they
don't know.
do-
I don't know how they get the ryes to taste the way they get them to taste.
They get some chocolate into those ryes. That's crazy.
I'm just mad I don't have more, because it's like when you get a bottle that is so unique and interesting, and come on, I've never thieved into a bottle before and all of that, and I had this bottle. I'm like, I'm gonna make this last. I think it made it a year and a half, but because I wouldn't do a heavy pour of it, I would just be like, I want to just have that memory. I want to park that memory back into my glass for a little bit. But I kept revisiting it too often, and I'm like, and then once it was gone, it was gone. And yeah, I picked it. It was an 8-year rye. It was like 8 year, 9 months, and it was phenomenal. They got 99 recipes, but I bet you ain't one. Hit me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I always wonder if they have the amount of product, but also it's like, okay, if they're retailing stuff for 140, that's hard. That we don't. I mean, so we had Cat's Eye. We had a 153 proof. It was 151 proof, 26 year in our lineup from Cat's Eye, and that was a $250 bottle. I think our members got it for 130, and man, I got to tell you, that thing drank like it was about 115. It was so like you had 2 sips and it felt like God was pulling on your cheeks. You're like, what's happening to me? And like that, it was actually 159 proof. But I had to have him proof it down to 151 because there's 13 states that you can't ship to if it's over 153.
Yeah, I get it.
So
Well,
it was this weird liquor law.
Sorry, folks, you don't get this one.
I had
Like,
that
well, we can't.
the exceptional character, which was I want to say 160, and I don't know, drinking 160. It was delicious, but it took me 2.5 hours just to do a half ounce, and I basically was dipping my tongue. I just dip my tongue in there and just take my time. I'm like thinking 160, my liver is going to tell me to F off.
We were visiting World Whiskey Society. I mean, they were popping all sorts of crazy barrels. Like there was what was the, oh my God, what's the buff turkey? They had there was buff turkey. There was some 23-year-old Buffalo Trace barrels. And then they popped this one at the end and they called it the Nightcap. And it was like 164 proof barrel from Charbet. And it was also one of the darkest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I could keep in mind, this was 10 in the morning and we still had another place that we had to go to.
Oh,
And I'm like, guys, and of course that place was ASW was popping barrels. Like, I don't know if you ever met Wit from ASW. I mean, they're popping, maybe 20 barrels, and that you splash it back onto the barrel. If you drank all of those, you'd be dead. And that first day, I looked at my guys. I'm like, if every single day and it's 8-day trip is like this, we're going to be dead by day 4. Luckily, it wasn't. But, we've had a couple of those days, man, where you're in the back, and especially these craft guys, they'll have they'll have 50 different mash bill barrels where they're like, "You want to try a red, white, and blue barrel?" I'm like, "What's
Yeah.
that?" They're like, "It's red corn, blue corn, and white corn, and it's all three." I'm
Usually,
like, "Yeah, I want to try that."
usually if we were with Bishop,
Yes.
if we ended up with Bishop,
Yeah,
somehow we all ended up naked in a stream by the end of the night. It's just
Yeah, he's like, "What's your sign?" Well, we're gonna have to pick some. We're gonna have to take these, and we're gonna go over that stream, and it's all right. We're all familiar with each other, you know.
yeah. I mean, but yeah, he always had a lot of extra stuff going on. And once we were done, you know, you do a barrel pick, and once you were done, all of a sudden it was just like whiskey heaven of just every single thing, and they had so much different stuff.
It was phenomenal, and I could tell when we were visiting French Lick that he was going to stay there. So French Lick was supposed to be in our lineup, and they pulled out 2 weeks before we were supposed to bottle it.
Who pulled out? Was Alan there at the time?
Alan. It was not Alan. This was not an Alan decision. This was one of the many straws that broke the camel's back. You probably guess who it was.
Yeah, I do.
But it was such a bullshit. It was such a selfish thing to do, and luckily, what I learned from that, what I just happened to do is I had one of our distilleries that were set up for the next quarter already cleared and ready to go, and we slotted them in there. And it was Leaper's Fork, and we love Leaper's Fork, and they. But if I had not had all the legal stuff done at that time, it would have fucked us so hard, and it was such a selfish, thoughtless thing that. So I will not support and buy anything that French does. I don't care who the distiller is.
Oh, they don't have a
support what they do.
They stayed through sponsorship after Alan left for us, and they have not distilled since he's left. They tried to do it, the family.
They brought somebody in, and there was a whole article, and there was a PR push for it. But
no, Alan trained,
and you broke it in two.
Alan trained him, and they fired him within what was it, 4 months of it, and then they tried to do it themselves. But they didn't put anything. They didn't get anything in the barrel. Since he left.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me, and it's just like, yeah, if they have any of the stuff left that he's made, I'm in.
They have lots,
but I can't support.
No,
the reality is that
that's going to go on the market at one point. You could maybe pick that up when Alan picks up his own stuff. He might just go in there. He's got no place now.
What's going on with what happened with Old Homestead? I just noticed all stuff. I mean, is that made public about what happened over there?
He left. He didn't put it this way. He didn't see it coming, but whatever it is, he's working through it, and then he's looking. There's other opportunities that are going to present, but right now he just took a general job with a cordial company, and he's just working. But that's just him at a cordial company. I don't know. That's a waste of talent, to in my opinion.
What if you got him and if you got a side project of him and McCoy?
Oh, he has a really good side project going right now with Stolen Wolf with Eric Wolf. They did a bunch of stuff. I got to taste it. It's called Colonial Rye, and it was damn good. It was up it reminded me so much of Whiskey Thief's Rye, that caramely, and it's only 2 years, and it's going to be coming out, and they did 13 barrels of it. So I think it's called Wolf and Williams, something like that. But it's going to be coming out. He's got a couple of things, on the burner and everything, but he has to end up someplace. So I'm waiting.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping everything was going to turn out there because I just say, hey, when you're ready, you're like, there's a lot of brands where we say, hey, when you're ready to be in the lineup, just let us know. We want you in the lineup. And, we had that with Ben Halliday. We've had that with a few that we just said, hey,
So
when you just tell us what the timing is. And
have you guys been by Ironfish since you're up in Traverse City?
no, so I've never, so we're doing a Michigan trip in October.
I'm going in.
And
I'm going
if
up
you
there.
guys are up there and you want to,
You let me know if it's not the first week when Bourbon on the Banks, but after that, I'll meet you on the weekend because my son lives in Thompsonville, which is 7 minutes from the Ironfish distillery. And it's a craft distillery, and you always go into a craft distillery wondering where they're at, right? Because even when I met Alan and he was putting out the 2-year stuff, and there's a lot of grain on younger whiskey, and so a lot of times you like that. But when that quality younger whiskey starts to get into those mature barrels, like Bishop's stuff is now 10 going on 11. That stuff, the barrel starts to influence that quality whiskey off that pot still, and it's amazing. Old Stubborn with Ed Blay, or Bly, I think it's Blay. Yes, Ed Blay that does Old Stubborn. He picked up the pot still from what's the place in West Virginia? Oh, come on, it's the West. They basically we were pot stilling, and then they went
West
to
Virginia.
what? It's the Smooth
So
Ambler.
I was thinking of Virginia, not West Virginia.
West Virginia,
Oh, yeah,
Smooth
yeah.
Ambler went from pot still to column still, and he pulled all their pot still that they had left and started his old thing called Old Stubborn. And that is some amazing whiskey that he blended. But what Ironfish is doing up there, I went in there and they have their Mad Angler, and they've got some stuff they're doing, and went in, and they're at the point where they're not putting out young whiskey. It's 5-6 years, and it's pretty good. If you're going to Michigan, you should stop in. I can.
We're going from Pittsburgh to Michigan. And I think we're passing through Columbus. I mean, does that route make sense?
Columbus,
Pittsburgh to Michigan, but stopping at Columbus.
Yeah, and then go north. Yeah.
yeah, because
So I mean, I think that's our plan.
Columbus.
I think that the trip is going to be 1,000 miles by what we were doing, and yeah, so we average driving like 120 miles, per day, depending on what we're doing. But yeah, we're going to start in Pittsburgh. We're going to fly out of Detroit, and we figure it out along the way. But yeah, if you want to help us figure that out, if you guys want to, even if it's just you guys meet us when we're at Middle West, so we can press the flesh and hang out, or Watershed or whatever.
Yeah, have you heard about Black Diamond?
I have. I've never tried Black Diamond.
Well, I mean, they do a good job. They're blending MGP with Middle West, and they're using the same blender from MGP that Penelope used initially. So they basically have him take the Middle West and the MGP and have a bunch of fun. But it's good.
What's his name at Old Elk? They took MVP master distiller and
Greg Metz. Greg Metz.
Yeah, Greg Metz. Yeah, the name was on every bottle, and I think that surprised me. I mean, it wasn't a situation where they went bankrupt. It was kind of like they got bought out, and then, I mean, I like Old Elk, and I like a lot of their product.
They're selling a bunch of the Old Elk single barrels. It's become.
Oh yeah, there's some 9 and 10-year-old. Oh, I know. I just got the list of it. And I'm like, fuck. Should we just get a 10-year?
I mean, that was.
I'm thinking about it.
I mean, when you think about it, it was a Middle West power play. I mean, it's a hostile takeover to buy the brand, because MGP, where Old Elk was getting it, it wasn't being produced. It was never produced at Old Elk. It's always it was stocked in Indiana, and then they were because that Greg laid that down an awful lot of that before he went out there. So that was his, that was his stock. And I don't know exactly what he was doing when he was out there. I mean, he probably was doing something similar to, the difference between Yellowstone and Limestone Branch. Stephen Beam's home is Limestone Branch, but, Yellowstone is being made in Louisville. It's just that simple. You can't do, a couple barrels 12 barrels a day and supply a national brand. It just doesn't work that way, right?
No. Well, I mean, we were at one in South Carolina on our last trip, and I was like, I think they got to be laundering money through this fucking place, because it was the biggest fermentation. Like, they had these 40,000 gallon tanks, and maybe one of the biggest stills I've ever seen. And I'm like, how much are you guys producing? They're like, we're doing about 3 barrels a month. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's some shit going on here. Dude, like, I don't know what the fuck
3 barrels a month in a giant still
happening, but I was just like, yeah, the owner kept trying to do, like, let's just get out some jet skis. You guys want to play some pickleball and jet ski? And I'm like, all right, maybe. I don't know.
I would.
I don't want to get indicted because I hung out with you for too long. I don't know what the fuck's happening over here, but it's just one of those weird situations. And yeah, we meet all sorts of characters, and we kiss a lot of frogs. I say we kiss way less frogs than we did in the beginning, because now we reach out to people that get back to us, and we have a ton of people that reach out to us, and yeah, there's still a lot of just really young, some people, people that come from brewing backgrounds or wine backgrounds, or they just apprentice for the right people. They generally hit the ground running pretty quickly. Some places just never really find their footing. Some places just never scale up because they're just drinking all their 1 and 2 year stuff.
Yep.
And then you have like Valentine's, who, like, we'd love to get them in the lineup, but they just don't have enough product in the way that they've scaled, because they didn't want to dig into their older stuff. They're being strategic and smart about it, and we have a lot of respect for that. So, when I see American Green 10 year or something, like, I just buy it. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm going to love it. I know it's going to be good. And so those are the ones that we hope at some point will sync up with them. We can't get everybody we want in the lineup, but so far, we're checking off a lot of people from our wish list, so that's pretty dope.
Well, you know as well as I know, when you walk in, like, the first time I ever walked into Middle West Spirits, walked into the craft distillery. He had a column. He's got the column still. It was a Saturday morning, and it was just running full out. I mean, he was running that 24/7. You walk into so many places, and if it's not the right time of year, there's no distilling going on. And then it's really concerning when you walk in to Bardstown Bourbon Company and they're not running.
They're not.
That's when you start to, like, go, whoa. But then you'll walk into a craft distillery and they're just going. I mean, if they're going now, you could tell. You could tell who's really doing it 100%, and they're it's got to keep going. You got to keep running those stills if there's a demand. And most craft distilleries, with how much of their little pot still will make, should always be running that, because of the fact of that the demand for it, locally can support it. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing. So if they're supporting locally,
if they're doing it right,
yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of brands that went out of business because they scaled up. They were just like, this, we're never going to stop hockey sticking. And then, these tariffs really changed everything.
The dynamic, yeah.
Because what happened is, and the dynamic and even the narrative, right? Because when all these big brands stopped producing what they were doing because they're not exporting anymore, right? Like, Canada drank a lot of American whiskey, and so all of a sudden you look at the industries in this downturn, but the reality is there's a ton of craft brands that they're not hurting at all. In fact, they're still exploding.
Well,
they're still doing great. But then there's a few that scaled out this massive operation that they never fit into as the industry took the turn it did.
but even if you look at Middle West, what Ryan's trying to do, you're talking about distilling base product here and then shipping it over there and having them finish the distilling process. I mean, he's being so creative to work around all the stuff that's happening. He's, it's like that's where it's kind of, that part of it is you got to be innovative, and you see the people in the industry doing that. It just
and that's why it's like people have always said, like, why are you guys still growing? And I'm like, there's several reasons. Number one, we're an experienced company, we're a whiskey company, as I've said, right? But also, we haven't scratched the surface for the amount of whiskey drinkers that are out there. Like, we're still a pretty small company in comparison, but we have more visibility now. And the economy is going to ebb and flow. There's always going to be that. But we're trying to now give our model, which is, I think, what's really made us grow, is the FOMO. Where people don't want to miss out on the next lineup. And I'm telling you, the June lineup, you're not going to want to miss out on it. It's like every single lineup, there is an anticipation of what is that mystery. People still want that excitement. And so now that we're going to be able to give that to restaurants, and it'll be more of a brand extension than our kits at restaurants, we want to get people back into restaurants because, consumer behavior changed during COVID. People are door dashing and Postmates. And what happens is you don't get the foot traffic, which means your server turnaround's higher because you're not keeping them happy with the tips. So we're trying to help do what we've done from the beginning, which is to uplift small businesses.
Well, and you think about it, it's like, yes, the tariffs have affected a lot of the industry and everything. But from the standpoint of American whiskey drinkers, you don't see a slowdown in the allocated or the people who are drinking whiskey in what our world is. They're probably spending more money. They might not be buying as many bottles at this point, but they're buying bottles that cost more. I mean, it's almost like it's the allocated people have matured. You know what I mean? It's a higher level, but the amount of money being spent, like you said, and just to do what you're doing, isn't something that they're not doing it because it's too much money. They have it, and they're doing it because they want the experience. That thrive for experience and camaraderie that you're supplying, and that what the whiskey industry supplies has not died off at all. It hasn't. It's just that simple.
The whiskey community, and we love that about this industry, that, we're traveling through Texas and they're like, oh, where are you guys going? We're going here. Oh, we love those guys. They're competitors, right? But they're rooting for Texas whiskey. It's one of these, when Heaven Hills Distillery burns down, no one's pissing on the flames. They're saying, hey, do you need product? Can we help out? When the flooding happened at Buffalo Trace, everybody steps up. And that doesn't exist in most industries.
Nope.
And so we love this aspect of it. We love all the people we've met. We're going to continue to make friends along the way. And that's the thing. We've had, we got our 18th release coming out. So other than the repeat distilleries, so we've had almost 70 distilleries in our lineup. And we have 70 friends. That's the cool thing. And we still call them, we check in. I'm going to call Alan and check in on him, and we call people, we say what's going on, and we love it. And we love that we get to meet these people, we get to support them.
So CT,
I just went and got a bottle of like the cellar aged Maker's Mark, because remember when that was coming out, it was like $500-600 or whatever the fuck it was, and I just got a bottle of it for like $140, and everybody's like, it's overhyped, I gotta tell you, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's
No. That bottle
phenomenal.
Yep. So
2020 was amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, I just got the 2025. I was like,
oh yeah.
I don't know what everybody was shitting on, but this bottle just knocked my tits off completely. Yeah. I was like, I smell it. I was like,
so
you think some of those people though are saying that because they didn't get it. And it was,
what are you pulling up?
So it's like, is
that Star Hill?
Yeah, that was
Star Hill's great.
Their wheat whiskey.
I've never. Never heard of Star.
A Star Hill Farm is
Star Hill.
this one actually was given to us by Rob Samuels. So we did it with whatever, but this is they produce this, and this is all what is it the kind of farming they're doing, regenerative farming, and that whole thing, and that wheat whiskey that's right up there. I love this bottle. I mean, and once again, wheat whiskeys, a lot of times you got to open them and let them sit, just like that cellar age. The first time I had it off of a fresh crack, I wasn't, but that 2025 after sitting for it's just so caramely.
That Star Hill Farm bottle has, and I think it's just the grain takes a trip back a little more to a dusty type grain, like when you drink a bottle from the early 80s and it has that nuance to it. That bottle kind of has that.
It's so good. Chocolate and chocolate.
I love it. And I love a dusty note. But yeah, I love it when it's we call it the Everlaster Golf Shopper, like where it's like the schnozberries taste like schnozberry.
Right.
But that there's, I love it when the nose, the taste and the finish are completely three different layers, and then 15 minutes later your whiskey is totally different. And so we kind of judge it based upon all these different factors. But at the end of the day, good whiskey is what I've written on the wall over here. Great whiskey is meant to be shared. That's what this is all about. I don't have those bottles at my house. I have everything's open. Anybody who will appreciate it can drink anything they want, and that's what we love. That a lot of people, when we have a line, they'll buy 3 of every bottle: one to drink, one to share, and one to save to eventually drink and share down the road. Right?
It's awesome.
Well, what you're doing is great. You're bringing an awareness to these distilleries that is very welcomed. I'm sure they appreciate the heck out of it, but us as bourbon people, I guess if you want to categorize us as bourbon aficionados, whatever you want to say, it's fun to be able to sample from different areas and taste these different things. And so what you do is great. I love it. I think it's fun to go through a blind. I did this blind and I still have 3/4 of a bottle left of each one. So the cool thing is there's enough there to do it once and enjoy it. But then if I had a friend over and I wanted to say, hey, do the same thing, you can do this. There's enough there to do it 3 or 4 times, and you get some.
When those kits, don't throw them away. Make your own blind. The whole point of like everything. First of all, we made that's custom glass. It took a year to make that. Those are custom caps. Obviously, the packaging is really high end, soft touch, goldie. That's a magnet with a ribbon pull, right? And the thing is that is not so that you can just throw it away. People say all the time, I feel bad about throwing it away. I'm like, why are you throwing it away? Put something else in there and give it to a friend. Introduce them to blinds. You don't have to recruit them to blind barrels. The whole point is go have the fun of making a blind for somebody else. That's what you need to do with your kids.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but we had a contest of like, hey, what do you do with your kits? Like, winner got to help pick a lineup with us. And yeah, somebody like made a Zen guard, and somebody form fitted the foam and put their gun in there. I was like, and this one dude built a whole wooden thing that had places to put the bottles and a thing that held the tasting notes and places to put the glasses. And the guy was a wood craftsman that was off the charts, and he made one for me and each of my 3 guys. And
Awesome.
but recycle the kits. Like literally make a blind for somebody, introduce somebody to whiskey, use the kit to do that.
Yeah.
All right. So what was your favorite CT real quick out of the 4? What won the blind?
For me, it would be the uniqueness of number 3, being that I just liked how it was just totally off the wall. 2, second place would have been number 4. Third place would have been number 1 for unique again. And then 2 is great. It's just more of that traditional kind of bourbon taste.
I love
So
that. I love that you picked the lineup based on uniqueness. I honestly, I wish that most people looked at it that way, because that Southern Star single malt isn't going to be everybody's jam. And it's interesting because we say it's like the bourbon liver single malt because of the way that it's made, and it's
Yeah.
unique and it's approachable. And I'm not a massive single malt fan. We've had a lot of single malts in the lineup, and I like them all. And there's some that I'm like, oh my God, this is good. But I really like that particular one. And I can't point to a bottle on any shelf that I have that's anything like that.
correct.
But
And
I-
that's where 2 probably lacks for me most is it's findable. I can put something together that's going to be somewhat like it. So yeah, but what a great road to go down. I mean, what a lot of fun you could have with those bottles with friends, and then, like you said, to be able to repurpose it to somebody who's maybe not into bourbon as much, and you're like, hey, here you go, try it and see what you think, and then I'll tell you what they are after you do it.
Exactly. No, that's the whole point. Discover it on your own terms, right? You want to put a cube in there, great. My pet peeve is crushed ice. So, I have a brother-in-law who puts all of his stuff on crushed ice.
All of it,
And
no.
One time,
It dilutes it too fast.
100%. And the thing is, like, we're not taking shots here because that's the only way you can kind of enjoy that. But you're also numbing the whiskey. You're not getting mouth. There's a lot of things that it strips out of the experience. But I have a brother-in-law that's the way he drinks all of his stuff, and I know he really likes that honey Jim Beam. So I just keep a bottle of that at my house at all times, right? But like one time I took a shower and they showed up early, and sure enough, Arnie's got a fucking full glass of crushed ice and filled to the top. And I called my wife. I'm like, the fuck did he pour? She's like, oh. And I looked, and as a sleuth, I looked, and he had poured the Widow Jane 15-year. And the worst part about that was I didn't even fucking open that bottle yet. I just got it. It's like he broke every cardinal fucking rule, which is like, first of all, I don't go to anyone's house and just start pouring fucking whiskey.
No.
Number one, I don't definitely don't open a fucking bottle, and I definitely don't pour it on fucking crushed ice.
Oh, and it's like
So
this
he's
the same rule, like when you're like being with a owner of a distillery or whatever, and they're like, all of a sudden there's a lot of stuff happening, and they're like, anything you want. It's not like I go and pick the $500 the $100 pour. It's like, yeah, sure, Knob Creek, I'll have a Knob Creek neat, that's usually kind of how I go. But at the same time, you were talking about the crushed ice.
Year.
What?
I said, yeah, give me the 25-year Knob Creek. You said anything, yeah.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that, like, every once in a while, I will put Knob Creek 9-year on crushed ice, just if I don't even want to think about whiskey at all, and I want something refreshing and it's hot out. I don't mind that every once in a while, but never. That's like maybe once a year.
If it's crushed, it better be crushed enough to be called a slushy.
Well, and look, if you're trying to get fucked up, hey, I got stuff that'll get you fucked up. There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, like, if I have a really high proof whiskey, I will oftentimes put one nice ball in there because the water will open it up. It's going to evolve in the glass. There's a lot of, I'd like to know what the different stages and the nuances of the proof are, but I always start with it neat, and then I'll put a cube in, and that way I'm kind of experiencing all the aspects of it. I mean, cask strength was never meant to let's just drink a cask strength. Well, no, proof it down to what you like.
Yeah, you're supposed to pick and choose where you want to drink it.
And then bourbon snobs decided, we're going to drink it that way. That's great. We're going to burn our tongues right out of our mouths.
What happened to Ricky? Well, he also got esophageal cancer.
Well, all right. So let's.
More you know.
So I want to finish this up because we've done this now. We do invite a couple people. There's some of the people watching. We invite them to come on and ask any questions if you want to stay. But if you have to go, or that's fine. Either way, just that's up to you. Or if you,
stay.
or yeah, and if you stay, anytime this gets whatever, just say, hey, I got to go. That's kind of how it works. So we're not trying to, there's no pressure to stay. That's what I'm trying to.
Okay. Yeah. No, I got 15 minutes. I'll have to tuck my kids in at some point.
Okay.
I'm on the West Coast.
All right. So I will, we'll finish this up. So what's
Been
your,
live the whole time?
you need, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, because it started as like the podcast, and I was like, oh, and I was like, I thought it was live, and then when you said podcast, and I was like, I thought it was both, but now I'm confused.
It's both.
And then it was like, oh no, we're live.
We're live, Facebook, YouTube, and then we're recording for the audio for Apple iHeart and whatnot. So, but no,
Let me put my pants back on.
well, but I would like you to give everybody your connections. Just do your thing on how they can find you, what they need to do to go where they need to go.
Yeah, so I mean, you go to blindbarrels.com and you'll see that you can either become an annual member or quarterly. The quarterly is just you're paying by quarter. Annual, you're prepaying for all 4 quarters. You can also just get a one-off kit. You can also just buy a fragmented kit. You can buy our bottles at a premium without the member prices, but members obviously get the member prices. The quarterly, you will get a tasting glass. The annual, you'll get 4 tasting glasses. You'll get a bonus kit. You'll get the fragmented kit. You will get a pop socket for your phone, and you will get for the first time ever right now until we run out. We have flight boards. We have staves, made from whiskey barrels that we turned into a flight board with. I got a laser thing that puts our logo in it. It's really cool. We put a finish on it, and they're all bung staves too. So we got a guy that supplies us with only because staves come in they're skinny, they're thick, and whatever. And these ones, they're all the thickest. Like it's the thickest flight board you're ever gonna get. And then you can find us on Instagram at Blind Barrels. If you ever hit up our support line, support of Blind Barrels, say Whiskey Blind Barrels. If you DM us on Facebook, Blind Barrels, or all roads lead to me. If you hit up the chat on the site, it's gonna be me. And I'm going to do that as long as I can. Pretty much all my members have my phone number. What's interesting is if you give everyone your phone number, barely anybody uses it. But, I'm very accessible. I take care of all customer service things. If anyone's ever unhappy, I just call them personally. And at the end of the day, we care about what we do. And we care about our members and the whiskey we built and the community we built.
All right. So there you have it, everybody. Blind Barrels. We're supporting you, and as we go forward, I mean, honestly, everything that you do and how you're doing it is a podcast for us. It's whether you're here or not. So it just makes sense for us to do it. So, all right. We're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, along with Apple, iHeart, and Spotify. Whether you watch us or you listen to us, make sure leave good feedback or join, become a member, or also on YouTube, leave us super chats. And with that said, remember, good bourbon equals good times and good friends. Thanks, Bobby, for coming on. Thanks, CT. And remember, remember not to drink and drive. Drink responsibly and live your life uncut and unfiltered. And our AI will take us out. Middle West Spirits was founded in 2008, focusing on elevating the distinct flavors of the Ohio River Valley. Their spirits honor their roots and reflect their originality as makers, their integrity as producers, and their passion for crafting spirits from grain to glass. Their Michelin Reserve line reflects their story from the start to the bottle to your glass, with unique wheated and rye bourbons and also rye and wheat whiskeys. The Michelin brand is easy to sip. It might be a grain to glass experience, but I like to think of it as uncut and unfiltered from their family to yours.
on the floor, working hard all day till you can't no more. Life rolls on, but the choice is yours, how you play it out when you walk through that door. One bottle, one drink, one pour. That's what the Scotchy Bourbon boys got in store. Tuesdays, Thursdays, come pull up a seat. We'll taste through the whiskey on the rocks and eat. Bourbon, Scotch, or a good old ride. Japanese, Irish, yeah, we'll tell you why. So wherever you're sipping, near or far, tune in with us from your home or your car. One